Hi, I'm musician and journalist Max Axiom, and this is the Max Axiom Report. Cyber Shockwave was a media stunt funded by the Bipartisan Policy Center. Take a look.
We don't have the authority in this nation to, as a government, to quarantine people's cell phones.
I'm actually shocked to hear that we don't have this authority. If this was someone with smallpox wandering through the Super Bowl, we would have the authority to quarantine them. And if we don't have the authority, the Attorney General ought to find it. Your phone is not going to work until it's been patched. We just need to find the authority to order them to take that action. And if they won't take it from us, then we have to go to the FCC and tell them they're no longer an independent agency. They need to take national security advice from this body.
Let me just make it clear. I'm not saying that there isn't an authority you could come up with, particularly if we make this determination here that this is an act of war. In times of extreme stress, presidents have acted without regard to the law and gone to Congress immediately and said, this is what I've done.
The theme was the government declaring an act of war in order to have the authority to intervene. The Bipartisan Policy Center hopes that by displaying a rabid push for authority, the public will concede to the need for the new cybersecurity bill.
Let's just do it and figure it out later.
Legislation is needed right now to deal with this. You believe this is a realistic scenario?
Yes.
But without things like this, or without a full-blown crisis, it doesn't rise to the level where people within government take it seriously enough, people within industry take it seriously enough, and most importantly, the public. So the question I think you asked is the public scared? Yes, and that's a good thing.
WikiLeaks is one of the more interesting stories in internet freedom and journalism, releasing dozens of stories, including 500,000 pager messages from 9/11.
So those people who are interested in the 9/11 conspiracy theories, actually you can see how all this originated. You can see Condoleezza Rice calling off aborted missions. You can see people talking about bombs exploding or secondary explosions. You can see misreporting by the media.
After a publishing hiatus due to financial constraints, the WikiLeaks founders were in Iceland to propose a new idea.
So, okay, but what is the Offshore Publication Center? So, it would provide a specialized set of laws, same as the Finance Center. So we could just say we're taking the source protection laws from Sweden. We could take the First Amendment from the United States. We could take Belgium protection laws for journalists. And we could all pack these together in one bundle.
The need for this idea was made obvious when Cryptome.org, another whistleblowing website, was shut down after publishing the Microsoft Criminal Compliance Handbook, or what they called the Microsoft Spy Guide. In other news, thanks to a funding boost from state and federal governments, the Lower Merion District School Board has provided its students with webcam-enabled laptops. What they didn't tell their students is that the laptops would let the school board spy on them at home. Watching students seems par for the course, according to this PBS documentary.
The principal spends part of each day remotely monitoring what the kids are doing on their laptops.
We have a photo booth.
He can see them, but they can't see him.
These kids are goofing off, taking pictures of themselves in class. I always like to mess with them and take a picture. 9 times out of 10, they duck out of the way.
More recently, WikiLeaks released controversial footage from the Iraq War, which they titled Collateral Murder. What's interesting is it contradicts the U.S. Army's report of what happened that day. What U.S. forces described as a firefight with insurgents is actually revealed to be a slaughter of seemingly innocent Iraqis at the hands of trigger-happy U.S. forces.
Crazy Horse 1A, request permission to engage. I'm picking up the wounded.
Roger. This is Bushmaster 7. Roger. Engage.
1A, engage. Clear. Come on.
The official story is once again contradicted by the evidence available on the internet. Now it's time for my favorite part of the show, viewer mail. A viewer writes, "The internet is slowly being commandeered by unknown authorities whose agenda could well deprive you of the rights you've come to expect. Suggestions that there be a driver's license to use the internet, that there be a switch by means of which authorities could simply shut down your connection to the net, digital policing and surveillance you fear. is just over the horizon, and you can feel this change coming like a cold black wave about to engulf your freedom. How do you tell people? What do you say to them? How do you warn the unsuspecting about this creeping, insidious threat? Signed, Professor Joe. Well, Professor Joe, thanks for writing in. You asked, how do we warn people? I say we warn them every way possible. Anyone can do some research, write an article, make a podcast, and spread the message. There is a creeping, insidious threat, just as you've put it. This has been the Max Axiom Report.